Well, coming up in today's edition of The Play, an Oklahoma soldiers case could go before the U.S. Supreme Court, why Sandridge will lease out some of their newly refurbished building, and word of a new concert venue here in Oklahoma City. But first, Metro Police have ruled the death of a 7-year-old boy a homicide. Here with more on the story and other headlines are local editor Rick Green and business editor Don Mecoy. Thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
All right, well, Rick, it's a story we've been following all day. A first grader was found in a house that caught fire late Sunday, and he later died at the hospital. What are police saying about the case?
Well, it's a very sad case out on the southwest side of Oklahoma City. A boy home alone, house catches fire, and he ends up dying. It looks like there was a burglary at that residence, and somehow the police think that precipitated the fire. And beyond that, they're not releasing a lot of information. Obviously tragic, and with no one home to protect him, and they're still investigating at this time.
It's a tough story. All right, well, defense attorneys as well as retired military officials are urging the U.S. Supreme Court to hear the case of First Lieutenant Michael Behenna. Behenna is serving a 15-year sentence at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas for killing an Iraqi man while questioning him in 2008. Now, what's the latest on his case?
Well, he's 4 years into his 15-year sentence, and his attorneys have been arguing all along that he was in a self-defense situation and therefore should not be punished in this way for this death. Today, the Justice Department released their response to the notion that the case is worthy of going before the Supreme Court. And the Justice Department said it's not. It shouldn't go there. He created a situation that ended up in this man's death, so therefore the sentence should stand as is and not go to the Supreme Court. Now Behenna's side will have a chance to respond to that, and ultimately the Supreme Court will decide whether it takes up the case.
Yeah, it's an interesting case. All right, well, Sandridge Energy will lease the Benna building and amenities building. The Benna building was supposed to house the energy company's employees, and the second building was supposed to be home to a gym and auditorium for the workers. Now, Don, why is the company planning to lease the space, and what does it mean for the future of Sandridge?
Well, we don't know for sure, but we do know that they had a very ambitious plan that they laid out when they bought the Kerr-McGee building. They were going to do a lot of renovation. They're building this new amenities building that had wonderful things for their employees, a daycare center, a gymnasium, as you mentioned. And now they say they're going to lease all that space, and it's a lot of Class A office space that's going to go on the market. You can assume that this means that Sandridge isn't going to be expanding the way that maybe they had thought that they were going to. And of course, there's been some changes in the leadership at Sandridge, so we got to wait and see what happens going forward.
Wow, yeah, okay, so a lot of wait and see then,
Right.
All right. The company that managed the zoo amphitheater is working on a deal to launch a concert site near the Oklahoma River. Now, what can you tell us about these plans?
Well, Howard Pollack, who ran the zoo amphitheater for a decade, I think, before they had kind of a bitter fight with the zoological zoo amphitheater people who ran that, and he lost that contract. He now has signed up with Kirk Humphreys, who owns that land, the old air park down by the river, to open a concert venue for the next year or so, and then if that could even be extended farther than that. Should be an interesting place. It's right down, it's on the south side of the river. It's an area that's growing. More and more activities are going on down there. So this should be a place that people will be interested to go to and interested to see.
Oh yeah, lots of activity, obviously, by the Oklahoma River. Very cool, awesome. All right, well, you can find all of these stories, obviously, and much more in the Oklahoman and on newsok.com in tomorrow's Oklahoman. Thank you so much for joining us for The Play, where you get tomorrow's headlines today. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.